Good lordy me, just another reminder to get her in your black book if she's not already. She's in mine, Prowess. She's an absolute ripper. First leg of the quaddie. We got 9 races here at Sale. Strap yourself in after the unbelievable events of the last race, race 5. Whiskey Hangover, Keith Needs a Feed, and also London Point. There's not much between the top 3 on turnover on the books at Sportsbet, but you're getting 280 Whiskey Hangover. I thought had every chance last start, the win the start prior. Keith Needs a Feed, interesting run of this one, resumes. Was second beaten only a bees when second up last start over the 7 furlongs, and it gets 7 furlongs here. So I like the placement here, 3.30 though, soft, late. London Point, $4 to $4.20. That's where the money is with Sportsbet. Let's go down on slot here. Team's on fire, Mavericks team. $18, spec at 16 and also 17. Bit more to play out. We'll get back to you with that. You win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the 1-800 number or visit the Gambling Helpline.
This mounting yard is brought to you by Swettenham Studs I Am Immortal, the fastest son of I Am Invincible.
It's the first leg of the quaddie and it's a benchmark 64 over the 1,400 metres. Runner number 1 is Regal Azmon. Winkers go on for his first up run this preparation.
He's trialled up okay, and he's a horse who's probably kicking off at a suitable trip, and he's got a bit of spring in his step, the mounting yard there. He's a horse that can get a touch off speed and then build into the race. So we're round the circle now rather than a number of the races that they've been out of the chute start. But he looks well conditioned for the first up run and looks nice and bright and alert in the yard.
We haven't picked up the 2 in the yard yet, so we move ahead to the 4 in Instasar. This apprentice, or Dakota Keen, has certainly formed a pretty good association in recent times with the daughter of Last Tycoon.
And I don't think she got the clear galloping room when she needed it last start to be able to finish the race off as strongly as possible. I think getting back up to the 1,400 metres now is likely to suit the way she was able to balance up and work home last start. She's hard and fit for recent racing, so I think she's one of the key hopes.
The Price Kent team like to hope their luck turns around this afternoon with the 5. Keith Needs a Feed. Lightly tried and looked okay in his first racing preparation.
I think he's got some upside. I agree. I thought his debut win, for me, it was a step up on what I expected from his lead-up work leading into his debut, and then no knock at all on his performance at 1,400 metres at Benalla. Spelled after that, he looks to have trialled up nicely. He's seen rain-affected ground in jump-outs, but different under race day conditions. I thought he'd get a nice run from a low draw, not necessarily have to lead, and I thought, as the market suggests, he's obviously one of the key winning hopes.
Onslaught is the 7. He comes into this with a really good fitness base, certainly got that on his side.
Yeah, he's a really resilient style of horse. I remember going back some 12 months or so, I don't think he missed a Cranbourne night meeting almost for the season. That's tongue-in-cheek for Sean Mathrick, but he went around most weeks and he continued to perform well. Round about this distance range, making his own luck, settling on the speed, just the way the track's playing today as a horse at odds that you might like to promote if he got an easy time like I'm Cheeky in the previous. It hasn't necessarily been the day for that.
We're talking about lightly tried horses on their way up. There's a couple in this event, and Whiskey Hangover's another one of those, out to 1,400 metres for the first time. We'll start favourite for the Lindsay Park team. They've also got Ryanberg in a little bit later, who's a short price favourite, but favourites haven't been doing the job at Sale this afternoon. We've only seen 1 salute in the first 5 races, and that was in race 1.
Good news for Price Bloodstock and Lindsay Park is that I'm tipping Keith Needs a Feed, so Whiskey Hangover's got that in his favour. I think the wet track, the deteriorating track, was probably against him last start, and on the evidence of that, I think the step up to the 1,400 metres will suit. He's another horse with legitimate upside, and he's getting fitter. So I thought it was a bit of a match race, landed on Keith Needs a Feed. I can understand the support for Whiskey Hangover.
Well, I don't know if either of them have got any favours in their side. One needs a feed and one's hungover, so we'll see how they compete against each other here.
Maybe one can cure the other.
Exactly. The 10 is Tempest Charm, lining up for the Griffiths de Kock team. Stable have trained more winners than any other stable in terms of numbers at Sale this season, and they've got a winning strike rate on the track of 27%.
Yeah, you'd absolutely put a pen through her most recent run. She was in a race where there was some significant interference, drops in grade, in easier class, her win at Kilmore was terrific, and she trialled well going into this preparation. She's got to get back run-on style, so she hasn't developed a high winning strike rate, but she's got talent. She'll balance up off speed and she'll be strong late.
The team will be expecting some improvement off of his first up run, preliminaries, second up here.
Yeah, I think getting fitter, had a jump out between runs, so that's a positive. The rise in distance suits, and maybe it was just a blowout race at the 1,000 metres, almost like a real solid trial, etc., to try and blow the cobwebs out off a reasonable break, but definitely fitter with that jump out between runs and up in trip a positive.
London Point, an interesting runner here. She's a mare that was 2 from 2 in New Zealand before heading over to Australia. Didn't show much in her first preparation, but I think the team can be pretty happy with what they saw at Ballarat first up this time in.
I think so. Sometimes it's hard to translate that synthetic track form from back in the field. She was okay through the line, no doubt, in a race dominated on speed. I think the rise in distance suits, she'll be fitter. Yeah, I just haven't known what to make of her runs since arriving here, so jury's out a little bit for me, but from that draw, rise in distance, she should get every chance.
Josh Julius handing in the licence. Parisian Vale will have her first run this preparation for the Adam Hanley stable. A couple of gear changes of note here. Yeah,
blinkers off, tongue tie off, crossover noseband and winkers go on. So a fair bit involved there. Has jumped out okay. The first up stats aren't fantastic, but she's actually a talented mare, and yeah, I know that the Josh had the opinion that she could at least get out of the grade that she's been anchored in to some extent, the 58 grade, and perhaps progress on a rung or two up the ladder as her career unfolded.
And horses into new stables, we go back to the 2, New Tycoon having his first run for Simone Main.
Yeah, a horse that you'd probably want to have a look at without the benefit of a trial or jump out, but a horse that's won 1 from 5 first up, so there's a precedent there to say that he's able to run well, but without the benefit of any vision of any work leading into it, you sort of want to be guided by the market that's indicating he may need the run.
And you're with one of the up-and-comers here that's still got a little bit of upside.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Keith Needs a Feed can run well here first up, and I thought he had a great chance of winning, but I understand the support for Whiskey Hangover. Intezar didn't have a lot of luck last start, and Tempest Charm will be out the back minding her own speed strong late, 5'8", 4'10".
And 5, 8, 12 and 7 was the way Terry Bailey's sorted them out as well. Keith Needs a Feed on top, but the market favourite still Whiskey Hangover here, Simon.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Hard fit Whiskey Hangover. Drawn the right marble, you would imagine, too, for this 7 furlong gallop, just to take a nice sit if they wish to do that and get a little bit of cover from that wind. But the top 3 have had money. Don't worry about that. Keith Needs a Feed. And also a London Point at $3.30 and $5 each of 2. Regal Amazon's getting some interesting punters having a bet at the place here. First up for Team Stokes. Preliminaries is the best backed at the price. The real roughie right down the bottom into $61. If you're looking for those exotics, $2.50 the favourite way, race 6, first leg of the quaddie. Don't forget, if you win some, you lose more. For free and confidential support, call the 1-800 number or visit the gambling helpline. But I want to just once again zone down into this black book. Prowess is in there, but also Art Zeno after his last gallop. And I clicked on his name there at Flemington, and I wrote this little thing here. Little ditty. Caught 4 wide, no cover from the 1,000-metre mark, taking off way too early at Flem last start, and he peaked on his run second up. Mile and a quarter at Flemington, race 3 is equal favourite, $3.50. Art Zeno for me in my black book. And that was from Flemington. That's how it all works.
Keith Needs a Feed will go round in the roll the dice colours this afternoon. Rob Norton's alongside Vince Ball.
Yeah, great to catch up with Rob Norton. And before we get down to business, we've just been chatting off here, the Roll the Dice Owners Tour, which found its way to Royal Ascot. You were heading that up. How did it go? I'm sure it was a great experience for all.
It was an unforgettable experience. Everyone had a ball. We did 3 days of Ascot. We went to Roger Varian's training yard, 1 day at Newmarket. We went and saw some of the really nice studs over there. So we saw Frankel at Juddmonte. We saw the Darley roster. And then we capped off with a quick tour of France. So we saw the World War sites at the Western Front. So 2 people were lucky enough to see some great-great-uncle's burial sites. And then we saw Aga Khan as well.
I'm sure if you ever needed the fire ignited to try and get a run at a Royal Ascot in the Roll the Dice Silks, that was probably it.
I think so. So maybe we can get Globe there. Who knows?
On to the job at hand today. Keith needs a feed. First up from a speller, son of a Keith Mafeed, and he put the writing on the wall that he's a horse with talent in his 2 runs in his first prep, didn't he?
Yeah, he was excellent. So he could have easily been undefeated. He only lost by a nose at his second start. He looks really fit today. He was always a bit of a gross horse, but I think he looks really fit. So he's trialled up well. We think from barrier 3, Jordan Childs will be positive. Will be in the first 3 or 4, and I'm sure he'll be in the finish.
Is he a horse that the stable's always, passed on? Did they hold him in a bit of regard?
I think so. Look, I've always thought he's probably a midweek horse, so this is a good kick-off point. He's still only 3, so if we can win today, who knows, we might be able to sneak into town.
You mentioned Globe. I was chatting to Mick Price about him earlier in the week, back into pre-training, so no doubt counting down to his preparation. And interesting to hear Mick say as well that you guys have done some DNA testing on the horse too.
Yeah, that's right. So the DNA testings can be good because he's by Charm Spirit. And the first dam actually ran 12 furlongs. So the DNA test has just proven that his best distance will be 9 to 11 furlongs. So then that probably means that we'll just probably keep him to up to 2,000 metres this time in.
Exciting times ahead with Globe. How's the rest of the stable? And yeah, the horse who comes to mind is Ayrton. How's he, Rob?
No, he's good. So he just didn't come up in autumn. So the best thing to do was to give him a nice long spell. He's in pre-training now. He'll be trained as a 7 furlong horse in spring on top of the ground. We know he doesn't handle wet ground. We'll keep him fresh and let's see whether we can get him back to that Group 3 Victoria handicap form would come to mind. And then the other one in the team would be Peace Treaty. Yep. Won really well on debut at Ballarat with Anthony Freedman, won by 4. She's in Queensland at the moment spelling and doing a bit of pre-training, so hopefully she can measure up as a spring 3-year-old filly.
Hopefully good times ahead for the Roll the Dice team over spring. Hopefully he can get the win here. Rob, good luck.
Thanks, Ben.
There we go. Good to catch up with Rob Norton with Keith Needs a Feed here for the Roll the Dice racing team as that runner moves on up. Here's TB.
And I think the interesting market mover is London Point. If you liked it, you'd be very glad to see a push. Now, Onslaught moves in, and that will leave Tempest Charm, Regal Azmon to move forward, and also New Tycoon, who's one of the roughies with preliminaries. Regal Azmon's had a little support. Keith Needs a Feed has been reasonably firm around the quote that he opened up at. This is the Sale Sign Talk handicap over 1,400 metres. We kicked the quaddie off with this. Sun's out. The wind's been a bit of a nuisance, but now Tempest Charm about to move in with New Tycoon. Tempest Charm a $16 hope. New Tycoon comes up in front of it, and Regal Azmon 15 into 12 will be the last of the runners to come forward for race number 6 on the card. Regal Azmon gets the winkers on today for the first time. Now Tempest Charm about to be trotted up with Regal Azmon. Keith Needs a Feed, Parisian Vale and London Point. Should get a nice smother from that gate. He's been well tried. Whiskey Hangover, the warm favourite, $2.80. Regal Azmon in. Couple of 100 metres gallop to the first corner, and they're all set. Onslaught bopping up and down. Attended in. Now they're set. Onslaught laying a back against the gate. Continues to do his Angus Young impression. They're off, and he's missed it. Onslaught came away about a length slow. Regal Azmon dragged back with Tempest Charm shortly after the break. Away well on the inside. Going forward is London Point, and Parisian Vale on the fence joins it. Coming across is New Tycoon, and also Keith Needs a Feed is hunting up there. So settling down, the leader on the fence is Parisian Vale. Keith Needs a Feed second, a length away New Tycoon. London Point on the fence, Enter Siren around the field very quickly. Starting to improve and make a headway around them is Preliminaries, the bolter. It's going to put a bit of pressure in the race. Onslaught, Whiskey Hangover, a fair way back. Enter Siren between runners, and then came Regal Azmon and New at the tail is Tempest Charm. They race up towards the 650, and Preliminary striding up around Parisian Vale. The two roughies are jousting. Keith Needs a Feed, the second favourite, a neck away third, the centre, a length New Tycoon. Whiskey Hangover zooming around the field. London Point needing room. Back on the inside is Onslaught. Tempest Charm with a run, and they were followed by Regal Azmon, who's back at the rear as they turn for home with Entersar. in the running, and Whiskey Hangover just canted up on the outside, 3 and 4 wide. Keith needs a feed under pressure, but Tempest Charm's going after the front runner, Whiskey Hangover, and then Regal Azmon. Whiskey Hangover doing it okay at the moment. Tempest Charm lays in, and here's Regal Azmon letting loose. Keith needs a feed, needs the winning post. Regal Azmon's coming at him. Regal Azmon coming home a bit the better, and he got home to win from Whiskey Hangover. And third prize in the race is Tempest Charm. Then New Point. Intersar behind Ace. Keith needs a feed. They were followed back in the field then by Onslaught. They were followed by Parisian Vale, Preliminaries, and New Tycoon, the last one in. Too good for them. Regal Azmon, he was dragged back from the gate, settled last of all, and has come to the outside and has come with a terrific run for Tiani Chapman and Philip Stokes, and has scored a terrific win first up. He's done it well. Second time he's come to this track, and he's been able to go home a winner. He won it by about a half length, 3/4 to Whiskey Hangover, who was fighting well. Tempest Charm lugged in. When it got to Whiskey Hangover, they go back to the inside, and without a great deal of pressure, the horse on the outside, Tiani Chapman, riding today for Philip Stokes, has won by about a half, 3/4 on the line. Fourth will go to London Point, but it was about 3 or 4 lengths away. And Keith Needs a Feed didn't do a great deal, and London Point just batting away. But all honours to the winner, Regal Azmon. He's by Magnus. What a great old sire he's been out of a Day Lamy mare in Sun Lane. Musk Creek Farm have had a couple of winners there bred today, and there's another one. And what was that for him? Only start 9. So for a rising 6-year-old, he's won 4 from 9 with a second. So he's been handy. 1:8:10:12. 1:26:88 the time recorded by the winner, 3/4 by a short head. So no excuse for the other beaten commodities. They've all had their chance. He's come from last and wound up and has been able to win. Whiskey Hangover, look, the winner in the straight. You could see that Tempest Charm was having a bit of a think about getting past him. And Keith Needs a Feed was there, but gone soon as they straightened up, and London Point just batted away. But all honours to the winner there, Jane, to Regal Azmon. Obviously, he's taken a little bit of time to develop, and he's going to have a good preparation by the looks of it.
He does, and Warren, you even pointed out watching this horse in the mounting yard that he had a bit of a pep in his step this afternoon. He certainly had the sharpness in his legs and hadn't performed first up previously, but the team had him spot on this afternoon.
And a really smart ride. There was a fair bit of jockeying for position. It's a relatively short run to the first turn, 1400 at Sale, so a few got trapped a little bit wide. Whiskey Hangover was one, but I think probably ultimately had his chance. And what Tiani Chapman did was just go back, ride neutral, and then blend into the race and see if the horse could sprint quickly late. And he did, conserving energy early, wasn't involved in any jockeying for position, so to speak. And Keith Needs a Feed, as Terry outlined, appeared disappointing, sitting in a forward position outside the lead. Tempest Charm did what she did. She loomed and chased Whiskey Hangover, who did cruise into the race and look the winner. But that's a terrific training performance, and I think a great opportunity for the Stokes stable for Tiani Chapman, who handled the horse well.
And she's building a little bit of momentum at the moment as Tiani Chapman. We saw her with a winner a little bit earlier in the week, and she picks up another one this afternoon aboard Regal Azmon. Let's hear from Tiani now.
Yeah, great patient ride, as Warren described, on Regal Azmon from Tiani Chapman. And talk us through that. You drew the wide alley. We're happy to take your medicine at the start and blend into the race at the right time.
Yeah, he went super, obviously. Jumped out. I wasn't worried about being wider. Like, there's a bit of kickback today closer to the rail, but I got behind Huggy's horse, so I was happy a bit following it. Ended up getting off its back and followed the right horse again, which took me through a little shortcut, and once he saw air, it was just super.
The horse hasn't been able to perform first up in the past, but did the stable come in with some confidence of a run like that today?
They weren't sure what way he was going to go. I don't think a win would have surprised them, but they weren't necessarily expecting it. But looking through his form, I watched pretty much every race he's run in, and like he's won in town, so like he's a city class horse, and I just want to say thank you to them. It was really nice to come here. He had about 10 kilos of dead weight, so he did a super job.
And great to get the opportunity with Phil Stokes at Pakenham there as well. A good association, no doubt you'd love to continue.
Absolutely. They're a great stable. He's a very, very good trainer. Lovely person. I've had one ride for them so far, but this was the second one, so hopefully it may continue.
Hopefully more opportunities follow. Tiani, well done.
Thank you.
There we go, Tiani Chapman, winning rider on Regal Azmon, race number 6 at Sale. We're off to a quick break on racing.com.